Scrolling through seasonal anime and finding nothing good to watch is always a bad feeling. I mean, you're a busy person, you don't have time to try 50 new anime every goddamn season just to see what's good. Well, boy, do I have the solution for you. Go touch some fucking grass. Just kidding. I decided to solve this modern problem that we have with modern solutions.
Machine learning.
Using the most cutting edge technology and an unhealthy amount of coffee, I made an AI to review anime. If you don't really care to see how I came up with the AI, then you can skip to the timestamp on the screen to see the predictions the AI made for the current and the next few seasons of the anime. Also, 97% of people who are watching aren't subscribed, so make sure to sub. Machine learning models are pretty complicated, but I'll give you guys a quick rundown so you kind of understand what I'm talking about. Think of an AI as a giant equation that gets changed every time it sees some data. So what that means is that the more data you give it, the more accurate it will be in the future. So to put it in other words, a machine learning model is kind of like your mom. It always wants more. The big question is, what data do I even give the model so it can train? And I'm sure you're thinking, the most obvious data point to give to an AI that reviews anime would be anime reviews, right? Greetings, Ron here. I really enjoyed this show. Kiss X Sis was by far one of my favorite shows of all time. I have not even finished the entire show. I cannot get past episode 5. It is so good that I continue watching the same episode. I cannot fathom how lucky Keda is. He gets pissed on and beat with wet panties. I have fantasies every night about this scene. The rest of the show is pretty mid, but this scene in particular was absolutely amazing. So yeah, let's not give our AI any reviews. After brainstorming for a while, I thought of 3 criteria that should summarize an anime pretty well for the model. First one is the anime's genre. This is the most obvious data point to give. I mean, certain genre combinations just work really well together, and I wanted the AI to pick up on those trends. For example, fantasy and action go really well together. Sci-fi and drama go really well together. Romance and yaoi go amazingly well. Another criteria that greatly affects how fun an anime will be, or at the very least serves as a good baseline, is the show's animation studio. In my opinion, this is actually the most important data point to give to the AI. Many animation studios have prestige and recognition attached to their name. KyoAni is known for their gorgeous dramas, Trigger is known for their unique style and action, and Cloverworks is known for fucking up their endings. With these 2 criteria, I kind of felt like I was done. I kind of felt like the AI had all it needed to judge anime, but it also felt like something was missing. My father. That's why the last data point I wanted to give was the anime's source material. To explain a bit, a shore's source material essentially means what it came from, whether it's a manga, a video game, or even just a studio's original work. Certain animation studios are known for adapting material really well, like Madhouse. That's why I think the source material is a good metric to add, as it just gives more depth to the AI overall. After I knew what data I needed, I used the Jikan API, which grabs data directly from my anime list. This allowed me to grab the top 10,000 anime from Mal and put all the information that I needed into the spreadsheet. This is the information that we talked about earlier, like the genre, the animation studio, blah blah blah. Then there was the hard part. Creating a model to actually predict how good an anime will be just using those factors. This took a lot of trial and error. The way my AI works is by sorting the anime into one of 4 different categories. Amazing, good, mediocre, and Boruto. Trash. Figuring out how to structure my model so it optimally increased accuracy was pretty hard, and it took a long ass time. But after a ton of testing, I finally got my AI to predict anime with a 65% accuracy, which is pretty good in my books. With all that said and done, here are my reactions to what the AI predicted for the current season of anime and the next 2 ones. Alright, before we jump into the predictions, the categorization that the AI makes is more than just amazing, good, mediocre, and trash. Each of those actually corresponds to a specific mindless score range that you should see on your screen right now. So yeah, let's get started with Spring 2022. And the first anime that we have that the AI predicted was Aharen San Hakurenai. I think it's like a slice of life about a small girl or something. This ended up being F tier. I took a look at the data for it, and I think this is because the animation studio, something called like Helix Film or something. Not very well known, you know, studio, and I think the genre tags are pretty boring. I think it's just like comedy and slice of life. I have a feeling that's why this anime didn't do so hot. The next one that we have is Shield Hero Season 2. This got a B tier. I was expecting this to maybe get an A tier actually, considering that the first season did somewhat well on Mal. The AI is only going off genre, animation studio, and the source, meaning that Shield Hero has the exact same, you know, metrics as the previous season. So although it doesn't know it's a direct sequel, it probably has some idea that these are somewhat going to be correlated. If it were me, actually, I would have put this in the F tier. I think Shield Hero kind of sucks, but yeah, that's just me. Next we have Data Live Season 4, and this got an A tier. Interestingly enough, I think the past 3 seasons of Data Live also got an A tier. I'm surprised people still watch this. I mean, I watched this when I was like in middle school and I liked it, but I don't know if it holds up anymore. If you're into Data Live, I guess go for it. Next we have Shikamori-san. And this one was actually one I was surprised about because I didn't really like it that much. But yeah, Shikamori-san got an A tier from the, you know, the AI. I think it's a good guess, a good like prediction, but unfortunately this ended up, I think, being around the B or even F tier. The AI did kind of fumble the bag on that one. Next we have Komi-san. This got an A tier. I mean, are we surprised? The animation studio OLM is super popular. The exact same tags as season 1, or genres, I should say. And then the manga source, OLM, has a pretty big history of adapting manga, so they always do well with it. So, I mean, Komi-san, A tier? You know, can anyone say that they didn't expect this? Like, next one is Kaguya-sama. This actually got an A tier as well, and a lot of you might be thinking, you know, why didn't the AI predict this as an S tier? Because this ended up being the #1 anime for at least like a month or something. Kaguya-sama Season 3 was really, really good, but I think you wouldn't have known that if you hadn't read the manga and were predicting based solely off the source genre and animation studio, because the previous 2 seasons actually did around A tier. So if we're just going based off that trend, you know, the AI did pretty well in just continuing that curve. Anyway, Kaguya-sama A tier, pretty predictable. What isn't predictable though is the next one, which is Summertime Renderer at S tier, or Summertime Render at S tier. This is a sleeper hit from what I understand. I haven't watched any episodes. From people that have watched it, I've heard that it's pretty good. I'm surprised it got an S tier. I've never heard of it before, but I think it has like a cult kind of following right now, and a lot of people enjoy it. So hey, I gave it an S tier. If you're into the genres, I think it's like mystery, drama, or whatever, go ahead and give it a shot. Last but definitely not least is Spy X Family. Now this got an S tier. I mean, are we surprised? Wit and Cloverworks, some of the 2 best animation studios out right now, just making heat every single season, but Wit just doesn't miss with their anime, so I'm not surprised it's got an S tier. I think, you know, if you look at the top 50 to 100 anime, it's just like, you know, so many Wit studio tags. Like, you'd be surprised how many times they break into the top 100. They just don't miss, and the AI knows that. Alright, well, that is the full predictions for spring 2022, and you might see that there's a lot more anime down here, right? Like, a lot of it came out, and the AI just doesn't have the capacity to predict every single anime, because some might have more than 2 animation studios, which the AI can't account for, might have more than 3 genres, which the AI can't account for, or might have multiple sources or whatnot. And there's also some formatting problems that I had. Basically, I will be leaving out a few anime every single season. Just want to let you guys know. But yeah, that is what the AI predicted for spring 2022. Let's move on to summer. All right, for summer 2022, let's start out hot. The Ruby anime got an F tier. This is really surprising considering, I mean, I love Ruby. I mean, it stuck with me for a while. So I looked at the most recent My Anime List scores, and I think it kind of deserves that. It hasn't been doing so hot recently. I have a feeling that the AI rated it so low because it looked at the source, and the source says other. Now, Ruby originally started as a Rooster Teeth original on YouTube, so I don't think My Anime List has like a really good, you know, way to describe that source. So the AI had no idea, you know, what Ruby's gonna be. I think that other source really threw it off. The next F tier is Saikin Yatoda Maid Ga Ayashi. All I have here in my notes is dark skin maid. I think that's the entire plot. So just that it's a hot dark skin maid. I don't know, like this just seems like a hentai plot. F tier. I'm not surprised. I'm not gonna say any more than that. Next we have a lot of isekai. Isekai Meikyu de Harem. This was a mediocre. I wish the AI gave it an F tier because I looked at the trailer and it looked like absolute doo-doo. Honestly, not much for me to say here. I think it has the most generic genres ever. The next isekai is this, I think, Kenja no Isekai Life. This is just like a ripoff of Slime Isekai, I think. Let's move on to the next Isekai, which is Isekai Oji-san. Now, this one's a little bit different. I kind of like this one. This is more of a comedy. It's pretty funny, but I think, again, like the joke kind of wears off a little bit after the first few episodes, so it's like a good parody or spoof on the Isekai genre, but generally, I think I agree with this ranking. I think it's a B tier. So starting with A tier, we have Love Live Superstar Season 2. I don't know anything about Love Live. I think that's the same studio that did the previous season, so the AI probably recognized that and gave it a pretty good score. Moving on to Engage Kiss. Engage Kiss is by A1 Pictures, which I think has done a lot of good anime adaptations. They did Kaguya-sama. I think they did Sword Art Online. So Engage Kiss, definitely comes from an anime studio that has a lot of reputation. I'm not gonna say good or bad, but reputation. So I think the AI looked at that, looked at the genres, and probably thought this was gonna be a decent anime. I think the A tier is stuff where it's like, if you read the synopsis and you're interested by it, then you should probably check it out. Let's move on. We have Rent a Girlfriend Season 2. So I think the first season also got an A tier, around that score range. Not surprised that the second season is getting the same treatment. The anime studio is TMS Entertainment. I think they did the previous season. They've done a lot of other anime, so not surprised it's got an A tier. If you're into NTR, definitely check that one out. Moving on to the next one, Call of the Night. This one got an A tier as well. This is a super fun show. It's been really chill, really nice. Yeah, not much to say. Call of the Night, really great show. I think A tier is a perfect rank for it. Next we have Devil is a Part-Timer, Season 2. First off, I'm just surprised that this even got a Season 2, but I think A rank is the perfect rank for it. If you watched the first season and you liked it, you're probably gonna like the second season of Devil is a... Come on, it's Devil is a Part-Timer. You know if you're gonna like it or not. Next is Overlord Season 4. Again, same thing with Devil is a Part-Timer. There's 3 other seasons before this. If you liked all 3 of the seasons where the lizards are, then you're probably gonna enjoy Overlord Season 4. So it has the Madhouse studio. The AI probably looked at that and was like, yeah, this is gonna be a banger. Next we have Vermil and Gold. I think it's just big titty mage mom helping in a school or something. I don't really get the premise. So for some reason the AI thought this was gonna be S tier. I have no idea why. The current mouse score definitely does not reflect that it's an S tier. Let's take a deep dive into the My Analyst page to kind of see why it could have given an S tier. So the studio is Staple Entertainment. Genres are fantasy and ecchi, and it comes from a manga. Staple Entertainment has done one other thing, which looks like it's a hentai. I don't know, the AI just fumbled the bag on this one. I don't even know what to say. It gave it an S tier. This is like an outlier. But lastly, we have Made in Abyss Season 2. I haven't watched the movie yet, so I'm probably not going to watch this until then. But first season was great. I'm not surprised that the second season got an S tier. Yeah, that's what the AI thought for summer 2022. Really, the only one that I'm surprised about is this. This should be a little lower, just a little bit lower, you know what I'm saying? All right, and lastly, we have Fall of 2022. Now, this has the least amount of anime to predict, and for the reasons I mentioned before. So let's start with the only one in F tier, which is To Your Eternity Season 2. This one I was very surprised about. I looked at the animation studio and they have a few kind of weird hits, mediocre to good anime in the A or B tier range. So I am surprised that it gave To Your Eternity F tier. I have a feeling it's because of the tags or the genres. I don't think it deserves an F tier. I think the AI kind of messed up on this one. So as I said before, it has a 65% success rate. It's not gonna, predict everything with 100% accuracy. It's gonna mess up sometimes, and I think this is a time where it messed up. Anyway, let's move on to B tier. It's another isekai, but he's like born as a sword. I don't even have the name written down. I forgot to write it down. It's just, to me, it's just dumb, but it's B tier. If that premise sounds interesting, I think I would give it a shot, but otherwise, ignore it. Next, we have Urusei Yatsura. This is a remake, and this got an A tier. Now, I should say, Urusei Yatsura is an absolute classic of an anime. I think A tier is the perfect spot for it. Next, we have Blue Lock. Now, this is a soccer anime. I'm still waiting for like the next haikyuu or like Kuroko no Basket for soccer. If this is the anime that does it, I think this could very well even be into the S tier. Next, we have Golden Kamuy Season 4. Now, I haven't watched the previous seasons, but the AI gave this an S tier. So if you're a fan of Golden Kamuy, you know, you're probably gonna enjoy this anime. Next we have Spy X Family Part 2. Not really surprising. Not much for me to say there, other than I'm excited for it. I'm super hyped. Next we have Mob Psycho Season 3. It's got an S tier, obviously, with that Bone Studio tag. The genres work really well together. Just good anime. Like, what can I say? And last we have Chainsaw Man. This obviously is gonna be an S tier. Like, you have Mappa, you have the tags or genres, adventure, action, I think, and it came from a manga. You know what else has almost all of the exact same metrics? Attack on Titan Season 4, and that is in the top like 10 or 20 of my anime list. So it is no surprise that Chainsaw Man made into the S tier. I'm just as hyped as this AI is for Chainsaw Man. So yeah, that is all of the AI predictions that it made for these 3 seasons. I'd be super down to do more seasons if you guys are interested. Let me know down in the comments. Before we end the video, I kind of just want to take a look at all the other seasons. I think it tells you a lot about how good a season is based on the curve that the AI gives it. Here you can kind of see like there's a few good anime, but the curve is generally like, you can move Kaguya-sama here maybe. You know, I think spring was pretty good for anime, but the curve is pretty good, right? Summer, I think not as good. I think you can see this curve definitely favors the bottom tiers more than the higher tiers. You can even move this down. You know, this curve kind of tells you that the summer anime wasn't as good as other seasons. Fall though, I mean, if you can move this up to A, like that curve's looking nice. As you can tell, I think fall is gonna be a great season for anime. I'm super excited. But with all that said and done, that is the end of the video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment, all that stuff. And I just want to say thank you so much for watching this video. You know, I haven't been posting that much. I think the last time I posted was a year ago. I'm gonna try and make more videos and maybe even stream more a little. So make sure to keep your eyes out for that. And peace. See ya.